It's a good idea to eat properly and keep yourself healthy. But all too often, the search for weight loss can become a national obsession. Hosting a Famine by Irma Bombeck. Read by Karl. Fat just never caught in the suburbs like I thought it would. Used to sit around and think how this is the year for the obese Olympics, or the Pillsbury eat-off, or Burt Parks warbling, "There she goes, Miss North, South, and Central Americas." But it never happened. Fat just never made it big. No one championed this more than the women in suburban gems. Some for their entire lives searching for a lettuce that tasted like lasagna. They exercised, they counted calories, they attended the diet seminars. Their entire conversation centered around how wonderful it felt to starve to death. Ever since the babies came, I noticed a deterioration in my own body. My neck became extended, my waist filled in, the hips ballooned, the stomach crested, and my knees grew together. One day my husband looked at me and said, "Good heavens, you're shaped like a gourd." At that moment I converted to the suburban religion called cottage cheese. I ate so much my teeth curdled. That wasn't the worst of it. Once you were an ordained cottage cheese disciple, you were committed to total understanding of the entire diet community. I don't think I'll ever forget the first luncheon I gave for my neighbors in suburban gems. They were all on a different diet. It was like hosting a famine. Helen was on the Stillman diet, which means 8 glasses of water, lean meat, and a bathroom of her own. What does it profit a woman to look like thin if she has to wear a nose plug for the rest of her life? Teal was on the Atkins diet, for which I cooked an egg, swimming in butter, served on a table in the corner due to her acute bad breath. No diet is perfect. Marge was still on the drinking man's diet. She required a bottle, a little ice, and a clean glass. Marge hadn't lost a pound, but it didn't seem to make any difference to her. Ethel was on the vinegar kelp diet. She worried us. She kept drifting towards the ocean. Wilma was enjoying maintenance on her Weight Watchers program. Before dinner was served, she ate the centerpiece, a candle and a plastic banana, and mumbled, "Bless we, G. for I have sinned." I, of course, had my cottage cheese. Why do women do it? You're talking to a pro. There was a time when I derived some comfort out of the knowledge that 1 out of every 3 Americans is overweight, but I never saw the one. Everywhere I went, I was flanked on either side by 2 chart-perfect women. I was surrounded by women whose pleats never separate when they sit down, who wear suspenders to hold up their underwear, who have concave stomachs and the gall to say to me, "I'm coming down. Do you want my dessert, honey?" Every day is a moment of truth when she faced up to the fact she is overweight. Sometimes just as a little thing, like seeing a $50 bill on the sidewalk and not being able to pick it up, or accusing the car wash of shrinking your seatbelt, or having shortness of breath when you chew gum. With me, it was a photograph taken on the beach. You couldn't see the blanket I was sitting on, or the sand, and only a small part of the ocean. My husband said, "The best diet in the world is to put that picture of yourself on the fridge door." He was right. The picture was delicious and actually contained few calories, but with the picture gone, I fell back into my old eating habits. The fat picture on the door diet is just one of many that have swept the country during the past decade, each one promising you more food than you can eat, instant results, and strangers on the bus coming up and asking you to dance. There was one diet that wasn't publicized, but I think had great merit. It was called the Tall Rat Experiment X70, or as it was popularly called, Grow Up, Not Out. The program was perfected by a scientist named Brett Briarcuff, whose basic philosophy was, there's no such thing as a fat girl, they're only too short. Of course, why hadn't anyone thought of that? Women weren't overweight, they were under tall. They had together several cages of obese rats and went to work to make them look taller. The results were astounding. Rats in wedgies looked 5 pounds thinner than those in loafers. The rats in jumpsuits with vertical stripes gave the illusion of being thin, while those in polka dots looked grossly overweight. Then he employed the old photographic trick. When a rat was talking with someone in the gutter, the rat placed himself on the curb. If his companion was on the curb, he stood on the steps. If his partner jumped on the steps, he would leap to a spouting above. Briarcroft found that by teasing the rat's hair, His cheekbones would stand out like Catherine Hepburn's. Women didn't have to starve to death anymore. They would just have to learn to create an illusion of tallness. The Tall Run Experiment X70 spread like wildfire in our neighborhood. We shopped at tall girl shops to get the waistline to hang around our hips. We volunteered to take off our hats at movies. I personally made no new friends over 5'2". At dance one night, I vowed to dance with no one taller than me. I better dance with every 10-year-old boy there. After 6 months, however, the Tall Run Experiment X70 began to bore me. I was sick of stacking pillows on the car to make it look like my head was coming through the roof. Besides, I had a new toy. The kids chipped in and bought me a flab control belt. As they explained to me, there was no dieting. All I had to do was put the adjustable belt, which was equipped with a small electronic buzzer, around my waist. When my stomach muscles became slack, the buzzer would sound. It was a case of chronic flab. The noise drove me crazy. I went back to cottage cheese. Desperate, I enrolled in one of the gastric show and tell classes offered at the high school in the evenings. The program seemed quite revolutionary to me. Foods I always considered decorations from the mantle, like carrots, cucumbers, squash, and chard, were touted as edibles. Following interesting lectures on nutrition and how certain foods were needed for the body, our instructor, Miss Feeney, asked, "Are there any questions? What if I go through all this and discover the life after this one is all fat people?" "Don't make trouble," she said softly. "Just try the foods." Within the 3 weeks, when I had not dropped an ounce, Miss Feeney took me aside and said, "What happened?" "Miss Feeney," I said, "you have to face up to what you're dealing with. Dieters are basically nice people. I have a snout full of integrity. I don't throw chewing gum on the sidewalk. I don't put less potions in my order than I know it takes. And I don't lie about my age. But when it comes to diets, you can't believe a word I say." "You would love to eat those words," she said. My face brightened. "Are they fattening?" "Oh, there were others. The denture adhesive diet where you cement your teeth together, and the one-size-fits-all pantyhose worn to the table, but I always came back to cottage cheese. It's not so bad. A little gravy over it once in a while. A cottage cheese sandwich between 2 warm slices of homemade bread. A cottage cheese sundae with a glob of chocolate." The end.